A 23-year-old food delivery driver appears before Judge Caprio, facing a simple parking violation. It should be straightforward. Explain what happened, possibly get a reduced fine and move on. But this young man has an issue. Every time Judge Caprio begins to speak, he interrupts. Whenever the judge asks a question, he talks over the response. He's casual, overly relaxed, acting as if he's having a friendly chat rather than standing in a courtroom before a judge. At first, Judge Caprio remains patient. Then he becomes firm. Finally, his patience runs out. What follows is a clear reminder that respect in court isn't optional, and that some lessons about humility must be learned the hard way. Subscribe to Judge Stories now, because 97% of viewers haven't yet, and this case perfectly shows why attitude matters more than excuses. By the end of this video, you'll see how one young man turns a minor, easily dismissible ticket into a costly penalty, all because he couldn't stop talking long enough to listen. Here's the real question. When did young people forget that some moments demand silence and respect? You're about to see what happens when that realization comes too late. It's Wednesday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. at the Providence Municipal Court. The clerk calls the next case Tyler Mason, illegal parking in a loading zone, Broadway Street. A young man steps forward wearing a DoorDash jacket, jeans, and sneakers. Earbuds dangle from his neck. His phone stays in his hand. The atmosphere instantly feels too casual for a courtroom. Judge Caprio looks up and says, "Mr. Mason, good afternoon. Please step forward." Tyler walks up, still holding his phone, glancing around the room as if deciding where to sit for lunch. "Mr. Mason," Judge Caprio begins, "you're cited for parking in a commercial loading zone. Can you explain what happened?" "Yes, Your Honor. I was making a delivery. Please put your phone away." Tyler looks down, realizing he's still holding his phone. "Oh, right, sorry." He slips it into his pocket. But his casual attitude makes it clear he doesn't see the issue as serious. "Go ahead, Mr. Mason. Tell me what happened." "Sure. I was delivering food for DoorDash. The customer was in a building on Broadway and there was absolutely nowhere to park." "How long were you parked there?" Tyler jumps in before Judge Caprio finishes. "The street was packed, so I just pulled into the loading zone for maybe 2 minutes. I ran the food up and came right back. I asked how long you were parked there." "Right, yeah. Like I said, about 2 minutes at most. I was fast. I had more orders waiting." Judge Caprio raises his hand to stop him. "Mr. Mason, when I ask a question, wait until I finish before answering." "Of course, Your Honor." "Got it." But his tone still carries that casual indifference, which is starting to irritate everyone in the courtroom. Judge Caprio looks at the citation. "According to the parking officer, you were ticketed at 6:47 p.m. on Tuesday. The report says your vehicle was parked in a commercial loading zone with hazard lights on." "Right, exactly. Because I was delivering." "I'm still speaking, Mr. Mason." "My apologies, Your Honor." "Go ahead." The phrase "my bad" in a courtroom makes several people in the gallery flinch. "This isn't a basketball court," Judge Caprio continues, his patience clearly thinning. "The fine for parking in a commercial loading zone is $75. He pauses, taking a steadying breath to keep his composure. "Mr. Mason, let me explain something about commercial loading zones. They exist so that businesses can receive their scheduled deliveries. When you use them for personal delivery work, but I was delivering food, which is technically..." Judge Caprio's tone sharpens. "Mr. Mason, I'm not finished." Tyler falls silent, but his posture says otherwise. Crossed arms, a subtle shift in weight, the faint look of annoyance suggesting he thinks the judge is overreacting. "As I was saying," Caprio continues, "commercial loading zones are designated for organized business deliveries, not for independent food delivery drivers to treat as convenient parking spots. Do you understand the difference?" "I mean, sort of. But Your Honor, with all due respect, if I can't park there and there's nowhere else, what am I supposed to?" "You're supposed to find legal parking, Mr. Mason. Even if it's a block away, even if it costs you 5 extra minutes. The law doesn't include an exception that says, unless it's inconvenient." Tyler lets out a quiet chuckle, not hostile, but clearly dismissive. "Yeah, but Your Honor, if I have to park a block away every time, I won't earn anything. Customers get upset when their orders are late and my ratings drop." "Mr. Mason, your business model is not the court's concern. I understand, but the system really doesn't work for delivery drivers. The city should fix that." Judge Caprio's patience wears thin. Mr. Mason, do you not understand that you must stop speaking when I'm addressing you? Your Honor, I'm just trying to explain. I don't need your explanation right now. What I need is for you to show proper courtroom respect and stop interrupting. The room falls silent. The growing tension is felt by everyone present, yet Tyler still doesn't seem to recognize how serious the situation has become. Okay, but can I just say one thing about... No, you cannot say one thing. You can remain silent and listen. Another pause fills the air. Tyler looks puzzled, unsure why the judge is so frustrated. That's the issue. He genuinely fails to realize that his behavior is disrespectful. Judge Caprio leans forward. Mr. Mason, how old are you? 23, Your Honor. 23 years old. Judge Caprio rises from his seat, and when he does, everyone in the courtroom can sense the tension. Mr. Mason, do you believe you're being respectful? Yeah, I'm calling you Your Honor. Using the title Your Honor while constantly interrupting me isn't respect. It's just formality. Do you understand what real respect looks like? Tyler stays silent, realizing he may be in serious trouble. Respect means listening when someone in authority is speaking. It means waiting your turn before responding. It means recognizing that this courtroom isn't casual. It's a formal legal setting. I understand that, Your Honor. Do you? Because your actions over the past 10 minutes suggest otherwise. The bailiff takes a cautious step forward, prepared to intervene. The prosecutor watches closely. What began as a routine parking violation has turned into something far more serious. Judge Caprio speaks again, his tone firm but measured. Mr. Mason, I've served as a judge for 35 years. In that time, I've seen thousands of defendants. Some were nervous, others upset, and a few even angry. But nearly all of them, no matter their circumstances, showed this court a basic level of respect. Tyler shifts uneasily in his seat but stays quiet. You entered this courtroom with earbuds hanging from your neck and your phone in your hand. You've interrupted me multiple times. You've used casual phrases like "my bad" and "for sure," as if we're just chatting informally. And when I asked you several times to stop interrupting, you continued anyway. Your Honor, I didn't mean any disrespect. Then tell me, Mr. Mason, what exactly did you mean by that? Explain how constantly ignoring my orders to stop talking can be seen as anything but disrespect. Tyler starts to respond, then stops, realizing there's no good explanation. You know what I think, Mr. Mason? You've grown up in a world where everyone feels entitled to speak at any moment, through social media, text messages, or by cutting people off mid-sentence. And no one's ever told you that there are environments where that kind of behavior isn't tolerated. Judge Caprio leans back slightly, his stern look unchanging. This courtroom is one of those places. When you stand before a judge, you don't interrupt. You don't make excuses. Judge Caprio reviews Tyler's record. Mr. Mason, you mentioned you've had previous parking violations. Is that right? Yes, Your Honor, 2 of them. Let's read them aloud for the record. March 15th, parking in a handicapped zone while making a delivery. You paid a $250 fine. Tyler flinches at the memory. May 22nd, double parked on Westminster Street, blocking traffic. You paid $150. Your Honor, both of those times I was just... Judge Caprio raises his hand sharply. Did I ask you to speak? No, Your Honor, then don't. The correction hits hard. Tyler's usual confidence starts to fade. So what we have here is a pattern. 3 parking violations in 6 months, all connected to your delivery work. Each time, you've decided your own convenience matters more than the law. Would you say that's accurate? Tyler hesitates. I wouldn't phrase it that way, Your Honor. Then how would you phrase it? I'd say I'm just trying to do my job efficiently. But the parking situation in this city makes it really difficult for delivery drivers. Yes, I've heard that point several times from you already. A few quiet laughs ripple through the courtroom. Judge Caprio continues, Mr. Mason, here's what concerns me most. It's not only that you violated parking laws 3 times, it's your attitude. You act as though the rules don't apply to you, as if your job gives you an exemption from accountability. Your Honor, I do understand that. No, you don't, because if you truly did, you wouldn't have parked illegally a 3rd time, and you certainly wouldn't have interrupted me repeatedly today after being asked to stop. Judge Caprio glances down at the citation. $75 for the parking violation. That's standard. Tyler exhales, momentarily relieved. However, due to your repeated offenses and your clear lack of respect in this courtroom, I'm imposing an additional $200 fine for contempt of court. Tyler's face turns pale. What? Your Honor, I didn't. You didn't show contempt? Mr. Mason, you interrupted me more than a dozen times. You used casual slang. You treated this hearing as if it were just another delay in your schedule. That is contemptuous behavior. Your Honor, please. I can't afford. Judge Caprio's tone softens slightly but stays steady. Mr. Mason, understand this. I'm not punishing you out of pride or frustration. I'm not targeting you because of your profession. I'm doing this because someone needs to teach you a lesson that life clearly hasn't yet. Tyler lowers his gaze to the floor as Judge Caprio begins. You're 23 years old. Working hard trying to earn a living, that's admirable. But the choices you're making show a serious lack of respect for rules and authority. I do respect authority, Your Honor. Tyler replies quickly. Judge Caprio raises a single finger, signaling him to stop. Tyler immediately goes silent. That right there is exactly the issue, the judge says firmly. I said you lack respect for authority, and your first instinct was to interrupt me to argue that you don't. Do you see the irony? Tyler nods, slowly beginning to understand. Mr. Mason, Caprio continues. Respect isn't just about words. It's about actions. Listening when told to, following directions, recognizing that sometimes the right thing to do is stay quiet and humble, even if you think you have a valid excuse. An elderly man in the back raises his hand. Judge Caprio notices. Yes, sir? The man stands. Your Honor, may I say something? I'm 72 years old. I grew up in a time when interrupting adults was unheard of. And you certainly didn't interrupt a judge. Watching this young man, it's clear no one taught him that. That's not just his fault, it's a failure of parenting, education, and society. But I'm glad you're correcting it, even if it's the hard way. Several people in the courtroom nod in agreement. A woman adds, My grandson's the same, always on his phone, cutting people off, no respect for anyone older. It's a generational problem. Judge Caprio turns back to Tyler. Mr. Mason, you're hearing this. Several people in this courtroom have noticed what I have. Your generation often struggles with basic respect and courtesy. Would you say that's true? Tyler pauses, thinking carefully before answering. Maybe, Your Honor. I honestly didn't realize I was being disrespectful. And that right there is the issue. Tyler looks up, meeting the judge's eyes for the first time. No, Your Honor, I understand now. I came in thinking this was just a simple discussion about a parking ticket. I didn't realize the courtroom has its own expectations that I needed to behave differently. That's the first sincere thing you've said today. Where are you watching from? Comment your city if you agree that young people need to learn respect, even when it costs them something. Judge Caprio continues. Mr. Mason, you'll pay this fine, all 275 of it. And I want you to keep something in mind. Every time you feel tempted to park illegally just because it's easier. What's that, Your Honor? Remember this, the rules apply to everyone, not only to people who have time to follow them, not just to those for whom it's convenient. Everyone. And when you act like they don't, there are consequences. I'll remember. Your Honor. And one more thing, the next time you're in any formal setting, a job interview, a meeting, any situation involving authority, stay quiet and listen. Don't interrupt. Don't make excuses. Show respect through your actions, not just your words. Yes, Your Honor, I will. Because if you don't learn this lesson now at 23, you'll learn it later and at 30 or 40, and it'll cost far more than $275. It'll cost you jobs, opportunities, and respect. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor, I understand. Judge Caprio lifts his gavel. The fine is $275 payable within 30 days. If you receive another parking violation within 1 year, your vehicle will be impounded. Court is dismissed. The gavel strikes. Tyler stands silently for a moment, trying to process what just happened. Finally, he speaks softly. Your Honor, may I say something? Judge Caprio raises an eyebrow. Now you ask for permission? Yes, Your Honor. May I speak? Go ahead. I'm sorry, truly sorry. Not just for interrupting earlier, but for the parking violations too. I thought being busy gave me an excuse to ignore the rules. It doesn't. You're right. I need to do better. Judge Caprio's stern look eases slightly. Mr. Mason, that apology would have been more meaningful 20 minutes ago, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Now go find proper parking for your deliveries. Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. As Tyler exits, Judge Caprio addresses the courtroom. Ladies and gentlemen, that young man walked in here thinking this was casual. He learned it's not. Hopefully, that lesson stays with him. Subscribe to Judge Stories for more moments when respect and responsibility take center stage. Tyler Mason entered the courtroom casual and unconcerned. He left $275 lighter and, hopefully wiser, understanding respect, authority, and the cost of disregarding rules. Judge Frank Caprio reminded everyone that sometimes the most effective lessons come from firm consequences. Some people must learn the hard way that arrogance and disrespect carry a price. This is accountability. This is what happens when attitude outweighs excuses, and this is why respect in a courtroom is never optional.